What's up, guys? I wanted to show you my Fusion Festival deck profile. I am playing Despia for it. I feel like Despia was the best choice at the time. Personally, I really like this deck and I've had a lot of fun playing it. So we're going to jump right into it. For more of the details for the combos that this deck can do, go and check out my other Despia video on my channel where I kind of go into more detail. But for now, we have 3 Despia Tragedy. If it's sent to the graveyard or banished by a card effect, you can add a Despia monster from your deck to your hand, except Despian Tragedy. You can banish this card from your graveyard, target a branded spell or trap from your graveyard, and set it on your field. You can only use 1 Despian Tragedy effect per turn only once that turn. 2 Maxi, because hand traps are good. 2 Ash, because hand traps are good. 3 Edgimp Chain. When it declares an attack, you can add an Edgimp Chain from your deck to your hand. You probably won't ever use that effect, but if this card is sent from the hand or field to the graveyard, you can add 1 Frightfare card from your deck to your hand. You're going to add Frightfare Patchwork, because Patchwork lets you add 1 Edgimp and 1 Polymerization. You can only activate 1 Patchwork per turn. So this is good because you can add the Polymerization to fuse for things, or if you don't need it, it can be a discard outlet. The other great part is if you discard Edgimp Chain for Branded Opening, you will trigger Chain's effect, you will get to add Patchwork, and then Patchwork will let you have Polymerization and another Edgimp Chain. So recursion and +1s, very good. Not to mention, this card is dark, so if you can't use it for whatever reason, or you bricked a couple of Patchworks, you can always banish it with Allure. So, next up we have 2 Fallen Albaz. I'm running 2 during the event because I like the fact that I can summon it, discard a card, and fuse using monsters from either side of the field, because I can do things like make Predaplanet Trifter Overturium, or is he a fairy? No, he's dragon. I can make Predaplanet Triff, or I can make Mud Dragon, or I can make Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. You have a couple of options. And sometimes you play the Mirror, and you can make your Despia cards, and I have been seeing the Mirror quite a bit. Next we have Alubar, the Jester of Despia. I personally think this is the best card in the deck. When it's normal or special summoned, you can add a branded spell or trap from your deck to your hand. If a face-up fusion monster you control is destroyed by battle or leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, while this card is in the graveyard, you can target an effect monster your opponent controls, special summon this card, and if you do, negate the targeted monster's effects until the end of the turn. You can only use 1 Alubar, Jester of Despia effect once per turn, and only once that turn. So this card's great. Get your pluses, negates effects during your opponent's turn, all kinds of good stuff. 2 Incredible Ecclesia the Virtuous. If your opponent has more monsters than you, you can special summon it from your hand. You can only special summon it once per turn this way. You can only use each effect of the following effects once per turn. During the main phase, you can tribute it and special summon, and it's either main phase, your opponent's or yours. You can tribute it and special summon 1 Sword Soul monster or Fallen Albaz. Since we're not running Sword Soul, we're only using Fallen Albaz from your hand or deck. During the end phase, if a fusion monster you control is sent to the graveyard this turn, you can add this card from your graveyard to your hand, which is pretty great since we're running only fusions. 1 Dramaturge of Despia. If a fusion Secret XYZ or Link monster is special summoned, in this case it will be only fusions because it's the fusion event, you can target an effect monster on the field and negate its effects until the end of the turn. And that's if it's special summoned, except during the damage step. So you can do this on your turn. If this card in your hand or field was used as fusion material and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon this card. You can only use each effect of Dramatage and Despia once per turn. So I only run 1 of this because I recur it a lot. 2 Albion the Shrouded Dragon. Its name becomes Fallen Albaz while in the field or in the graveyard. If it's in your hand or in the graveyard, you can send a Fallen Albaz or branded spell or trap from your hand or deck to the graveyard. If it was in your hand, you can special summon it. If the card you sent was in your hand, rather, you can special summon it. If it's the card you sent was from your deck, you place it on the bottom of your deck, and then if Albion was in your hand when you did that, you get to draw one card. You can only use the effect of Albion the Shroud Dragon once per turn. And then one ad libitum of Despia. During your main phase, you can make all monsters on the field you currently control gain 100 attack times their level. All monsters currently on the field, until equal to their level until the end of the opponent's turn. If this card in your hand or field is used as fusion material and sent to the graveyard or banished, you can target one of your Despia monsters or level 8 or higher fusion monsters that is banished from your graveyard, except ad libitum of Despia, and special summon it. You can only use each effect of his effects once per turn. 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, 3 Polymerization, 1 Upstart Goblin, 3 Allure of Darkness, because you can banish Tragedy off the effect and get more searches, plus drawing cards, 2 Frightful Patchwork, 2 Despia Theater of the Branded. During your main phase, you can special summon 1 level 8 or higher fusion monster from the extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material. If a face-up non-fusion fairy monster, which all the Despias are dark fairies, leaves the field by an opponent's card effect or is destroyed by battle, you can target 1 level 8 or higher fusion monster in your graveyard, special summon it. You can only use each effect of Despia Theater of the Branded once per turn. Then we have 2 Super Poly, because it's a fusion event and we play the mirror lot, and because Protoplant, Triperodrum, Muddragon Swamp, and Starving Venom are all good cards. 3 Branded Opening, discard a card, take a Despia monster from your deck, you can add it to your hand or special summon it in defense position. And for the rest of this turn after this card resolves, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except fusion monsters. If a fusion monster or monsters you control be destroyed by card effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. You can only use each effect of Branded Opening once per turn. And then finally, Branded in Red, which is target a Despia monster or Fall of Albaz in your graveyard, add it to your hand, and then you can apply the following effect, which is fusion summon 1 level 8 or higher fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing fusion materials mentioned on it from your hand or field, but it cannot attack directly its turn. You can only activate 1 Branded in Red per turn. And with that, we get to the extra deck. You have Muddragon of the Swamp, which is a Super Poly and Albaz target, 2 monsters with the same attribute but different types. Your opponent cannot target this card or monsters on the field with the same attribute as this card with card effects. Once per turn, quick effect, you can declare 1 attribute. This card becomes that attribute until the end of the turn. Starving Venom, which is any 2 dark monsters. We went over this in a lot of deck profiles in the past, so I'm going to go ahead and skip over them. Titan Khaled the Ash Dragon, 1 Fallen Albaz, 1 monster with 2,500 attack or more, gains attack equal to the combined original levels of the monster used for its fusion summon times 100. After this card is fusion summoned for the rest of the turn, it is unaffected by the activated effects of other monsters special summoned from the extra deck. During the end phase, if this card is in the graveyard because it was sent there this turn, you can add to your hand or special summon 1 Dogmatica monster or 1 Fallen of Albaz. You can only use this effect of Titan Ash Dragon once per turn. And next we have Gregrand the Glory Dragon. This guy is Fallen of Albaz plus 1 level 8 or higher monster. Cannot be destroyed by battle. While you control this fusion summon card, your opponent cannot target other monsters you control with monster effects. During the end phase, if this card is in the graveyard because it was sent there this turn, you can add to your hand or special summon 1 Tri-Brigade monster or 1 Fallen of Albaz from your deck. You can only use this effect of Gregrand the Glory Dragon once per turn. Next we have Spren the Iron Dash Dragon. It's a Fall of Albaz plus 1 effect monster special summon this turn. So during your main phase, you can move this card you control to another one of your main monster zones, then destroy all other face-up cards in this card's column. During the end phase, if this card's in the graveyard because it was sent there this turn, you can add to your hand or special summon a Springens monster or a Fallen of Albaz, and from your deck, you can only use each effect to Spren the Iron Dash Dragon once per turn. And next we have Albion the Branded Dragon. If this card is fusion summoned, you can fusion summon 1 level 8 or lower fusion monster from your extra deck except Albion by banishing fusion materials mentioned on it from your hand, field, and or grave. During the end phase, if this card's in the graveyard because it's sent to this turn, you can add to your hand or set one branded spell or trap directly from your deck. You can only use each effect of Albion the Branded Dragon once per turn. And then we have 2 Despian Cortices. It's 1 Despia monster plus 1 light or dark monster. During the main phase, quick effect, you can change the attack of all monsters currently on the field to 0, and that includes yours, until the end of the turn, except level 8 or higher fusion monsters. Not super good in this event since everything is a fusion. If this face-up card and its owner's control leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, you can add to your hand or special summon a Fall of Albaz or Despia monster from your deck. You can only use each of his effects once per turn. Next we have Masquerade the Blazing Dragon, which is 1 Despia monster plus 1 light or dark monster. And while you control this fusion summon card, your opponent must pay 600 life points to activate cards or effects. If your opponent controls a ritual, fusion, synchro, XYZ, or link monster while this card is in your graveyard, quick effect, you can special summon this card but banish it when it leaves the field. You can only use this effect of Masquerade the Blazing Dragon once per turn. And then we have Predaplant Triff. I'm just going to call him Predaplant Triff. He's 3 dark monsters on the field and gains attack equal to, well, that doesn't matter because we're not using Predaplant counters. So the effect that does matter is when your opponent special summons a monster from their extra deck while you control this fusion summon card. Quick effect, you can negate the summon, and if you do, destroy that monster. And then you don't use the Predaplant counter effect. And next we have Despian Proskenian. 1 Despia monster plus 1 light monster plus 1 dark monster. During the end phase, you can target 1 fusion, synchro, XYZ, link monster in your opponent's graveyard, banish it, or special summon it to your field. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's original attack and defense, whatever's higher. You can use each of these effects once per turn. The banish effect is really good to get rid of the Blazing Dragon in the mirror match, or to get rid of Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer. Which, by the way, you can run Phoenix Enforcer in this event, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you can run him if you want to. I'm not, just because I'm not. I might put him in there just for giggles later. But you can totally run that package if you want to. And then finally, we have the first Dark Lord, which is 3 fairy monsters. Your opponent cannot target fairy monsters you control with card effects. You can only use 1 of the following effects of the first Dark Lord per turn, and only once that turn. You will not be using the first one because you're not running Dark Lords. The second one is during the main phase. You can pay 1,000 life points, summon 1 fairy monster from your hand or graveyard in defense position. So he's a 4,000 extender, and he's great to bring out during the mirror match with Super Poly. And with that, I'm going to leave you guys with a couple of replays. I hope you guys are enjoying the Fusion Festival event. And as always, this video is sponsored by W Energy. You can use the link down below with the code SirLargeGaming to get 10% off of your order. I personally like the peach mango flavor. I just tried that, and that one is my new favorite. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the replays and this deck profile. Comment down below what you're using if you're not playing this, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.